Firstly, I must just say, I was very impressed with Tom's speech. And one of the things, that came out of Vince's proposition is, if you want to see the state of this country and have any reason to vote for the motion, this is the performance that have led us to exactly where we are, which is this constant TV-like, total out of touch order with where the country and where people feel where we are now. I stand before you as a son of asylum seekers, a fact that not only enables and shapes who I am, sharpens my understanding of governance, of privilege, and of duty. Who would have ever thought that I, the child of those who sought refuge on these shores, would be here exchanging ideas with some of Britain's most intellectual minds? Certainly not Solly Braverman. But here I am, not merely to question, to challenge, but to hold to account a government that has continuously failed us. So I ask, how could we possibly have confidence in His Majesty's government? In the shadow of these halls, discussions flourish about the future of our country. Yet it is really crucial to understand that we here aren't the majority. We are the privileged. Outside, the ordinary Brit is overwhelmed, disenchanted, and above all, disappointed. A recent poll from the New Britain Project lays the grim reality. 3/4 of Brits believe we're going backwards. 58% feel nothing in this country works anymore. And personal disillusionment runs rampant, with nearly half feeling that a lack of control over their own lives. This isn't just data. It's a reality of how people feel in our country and a damning indictment of our current government. Madam President, let us set aside our party allegiances for a moment and speak candidly about competence. We are at a turning point in our history. Yet when we tune into governmental addresses, it feels less like a roadmap for a resilient Britain and more like a scene from Westminster, only without the wit and the charm. This isn't satire, it's our reality. And it's a reality that belies a sobering lack of vision, planning, and basic governance. If mismanagement were an Olympic sport, this government wouldn't just be on the podium, they'd be eating world records. But the stakes are too high for such farcical performances. We're grappling with a cost of living crisis, a climate catastrophe in the making, and the tarnishing of Britain's reputation on the world stage. This is no time for amateur hour. When nearly 3 out of 10 children live in poverty, when families are choosing between heating and eating, we have to ask, where has this government been? How can we have the confidence in a government that has run down our economy to the ground with inflation out of control? How can we have confidence in a government that has seen our beloved NHS, a symbol of British compassion and optimism, left underfunded and overstretched, patients waiting longer for treatments, and healthcare workers left exhausted? How can we have confidence in a government that has scaled back on our climate ambition, one of the biggest betrayals of your generation and the demands of young people? Speaking from experience, as someone who has led climate action in Hackney, I can affirm that local governments and communities are leading the way to tackle climate change. Yet where is the government? Rishi Sunak's government has scaled back on our climate ambitions at the very moment when accelerating action is not just advisable, but it's imperative. The government's reluctance isn't just a failing in policy, it's a betrayal of trust. They've sacrificed our planet, our shared home, yet again by putting their own personal ambition before the interest of the country. And let's not forget, this betrayal is nothing less than an affront to your generation. The young people demanding urgent action, whose futures are most at stake. It's incredibly disheartening to think that we're regressing in our fight against the single most pressing issue of our time, all thanks to a government who has time and time again over the past 13 years put their own personal ambition rather than pursuing what's best for our country. In a nation rich in history, in culture, and yes, financial wealth, the rate of child poverty should be a national embarrassment. Since 2010, the number of children growing up in relative poverty in the UK has skyrocketed by 500,000. Today, if you enter a classroom of 30 children, an astonishing 9 will be living in poverty. This is not a hypothetical situation. This is a daily reality for our educators and our young ones. I ask you, how can we have confidence in a government so neglectful, so inattentive, that lets its future, our children, grow up in conditions that rob them of their potential? This government has proven inadequate. 13 years have been marked by absolute chaos, featuring 5 prime ministers, each proving less effective than the last. 50 cabinet resignations. Now, I know Lewis is from West London. I'm not sure if he's a Chelsea fan, but it's almost as bad as Chelsea's managerial record. Madam President, it's evident that the issues we grapple with as a nation are symptomatic of years of mismanagement, personal ambition coming over what the country's interest is, and misguided priorities by this government. I stand before you not only as a concerned citizen, but most importantly, as a human being who believes in the importance of the social contract, a contract that this government has repeatedly violated. Therefore, I affirm unequivocally that we cannot, must not, and shall not place our confidence in His Majesty's government. Thank you.